Now, Rita, I said Iran. You've got news from Iran. Talk us through it, the story.
Look, this is a really terrible story. They have executed a political dissident, a journalist who has encouraged campaigns, Ruhollah Zam, that there he is, who encouraged people to protest against the Iranian regime. They lured him to the Middle East on false pretenses, and then they kidnapped him and took him across the border into Iran. They've now hanged him, and it is just an absolute tragedy. His only crime is to encourage people to stand up against this Islamist brutal regime that has ruled there for 40 years. And this is the regime that the Joe Biden administration wants to get back into bed with and do another deal with. It is absolutely insane, and doesn't matter how badly they behave, the Democrats are determined to reinvigorate this nuclear deal because Trump tore it up.
Exactly.
That's pretty much the only reason.
And Trump not only tore that up, he brought peace to the Middle East. We had the news this week, James, of another peace deal. The fourth or fifth, is it, between Israel now with Morocco has signed a peace deal with Israel. This is extraordinary stuff. Many of us thought we would never see this in our lifetime. Arab state after Arab state. Yep. We've had Bahrain, we've had Sudan, we've had the UAE, we've had Kosovo. And let's just remind ourselves, Rita just mentioned the fact that Biden and Harris want to do a deal with Iran. Let's look at who they put as their climate head czar, this genius, John Kerry, who after we've just had 5 peace deals. Let's remind ourselves of what John Kerry said could never be done. Have a listen.
There will be no separate peace between Israel and the Arab world. I want to make that very clear to all of you. I've heard several prominent politicians in Israel sometimes saying, well, the Arab world's in a different place now. We just have to reach out to them and we can work some things with the Arab world and we'll deal with the Palestinians. No, 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 and no.
So there we have it. Peace deal after peace deal after peace deal, thanks to Trump. And no from... And this bloke, Kerry, is now in charge of climate change. You can take everything he says on climate change to be as accurate as everything he said about peace in the Middle East, James.
That's right. And what I have never understood is why the left has such an absolute love for the Iranian mullahs. I mean, some of the most repressive, awful people to run a country ever, and they are absolutely in love with them. They have been since Ben Rhodes, who was Obama's architect of the Iran deal, arranged for pallets of cash to be flown over to Iran on C-130 Hercules aircraft, and now they're going to go and make the same mistakes again. The tragedy is we're going to wind up now with very potentially an Iran with not only nuclear weapons, but the capability to deliver them thanks to the Biden administration.